"License and registration, sir." The voice was flat, routine, but there was no mistaking the edge in it. Tariq Hall, 29, reached slowly into the glove compartment of his dark blue Nissan Sentra. His hands moved deliberately, like he'd practiced this 100 times. Maybe he had. In South Carolina, a black man driving alone on a rural highway after sunset knew how not to make sudden movements. "May I ask why I was stopped?" he said, handing over the papers. The officer didn't answer right away. He examined the license, then finally said, "You drifted across the lane marker twice. That's a violation." Tariq blinked. "I haven't touched my phone. I'm just heading home." The officer didn't look up. "Step out of the vehicle." Tariq hesitated. That's when the fear kicked in. 5 minutes earlier, Tariq was 20 miles from his mother's house in Columbia, driving back from a landscaping job he'd picked up over the weekend. His music was low, his seatbelt on, his eyes clear. He was thinking about dinner, maybe drive-through, maybe leftovers. The sun had set 40 minutes ago. The stretch of highway ahead was flat and empty, except for the car that had been trailing him for several miles. No sirens, no headlights flashing. Then the whoop of a quick siren burst, blue lights in his rear view. Instinct told him to pull over somewhere visible, but there were no stores or gas stations, just a dirt shoulder and pine trees. He pulled off, turned the engine off, rolled the window down, and here they were. Back to the stop. 2 officers now. One, the one who made the stop, tall, white, mid-40s, square jaw. The second one younger, quiet, standing a few feet behind with his hand on his belt. Tariq stepped out. "Hands on the trunk," the older one said. "What? Why? What did I do?" "You were swerving. Standard check. I haven't been drinking. I haven't. Just comply." He did, cold metal under his palms, warm sweat on his back. The officer opened the driver's door and began rifling through the interior. "I don't consent to a search," Tariq said. The officer ignored him. In under 2 minutes, the officer pulled something from beneath the seat. A small plastic bag, white powder. Tariq's stomach flipped. "That's not mine. That wasn't there." The officer held it up in 2 fingers. "Well, now it is." Arrested. They cuffed him on the spot, didn't let him call anyone, didn't read him his rights until they were halfway to the station. "Possession with intent," the younger officer finally said. Tariq shook his head. "That's crazy. I've never touched that stuff. You planted it." Silence. At the station, they booked him. Mugshot, fingerprints, property taken, cell phone locked up. He spent the night in a holding cell with 2 other men who smelled like sweat and fear. Nobody spoke, just the occasional cough, the drip of a leak somewhere overhead. The phone call. He finally got a phone call the next morning. He called his mother. She answered on the second ring. "Tariq? I've been arrested." There was silence on the line. Then, "What did they say you did?" "They say they found coke in the car." More silence. Then a tremble in her voice. "Tell me that's not true." "It's not. I swear to God, Ma. I don't even know what it looks like. They planted it." "I'm coming. Don't say anything more. I'm getting you a lawyer." Meet the lawyer. Her name was Raven Calloway. Young, sharp, and unapologetically direct. She arrived at the county jail 48 hours later, with a stack of documents and eyes that missed nothing. "You're lucky your mom called me," she said. "Most public defenders wouldn't look at this for 2 weeks." "I didn't do anything," Tariq said. "I believe you. But the system doesn't run on belief, it runs on evidence." Tariq leaned forward. "There's a dashcam in my car, front and rear. They didn't take it out. The SD card's still in." Raven paused. "You sure?" He nodded. "It records everything. I installed it myself. Has audio, too." Her eyes lit up. "Okay, that's our opening." The missing evidence. 3 days later, Raven filed a motion to retrieve the dashcam footage. She submitted a formal request to have the vehicle examined and evidence preserved. But when the car was released from impound, the dashcam was gone. Not removed cleanly, ripped from the dashboard, wires still exposed. The SD card missing. Raven stared at the photos from the lot. They took it. Tariq's voice was quiet. I knew they would. But they made a mistake, she said. If it was recording while you were parked, it might have uploaded before they took it. He frowned. To what? You don't remember setting it up with cloud backup? He blinked, then slowly nodded. Wait, I think I did. The cloud trail. Raven brought in a tech expert freelance, paid in cash. They logged into the old dashboard account Tariq used when he first installed the camera app on his phone. It took some time to reset the password, but they got in. There it was. A partial upload. The footage wasn't complete. The signal had cut when the officers opened the door, but the audio recorded from the moment of the stop. And it caught everything. The officer telling Tariq he was being pulled over for lane drift. Tariq denying swerving. The officer saying, just comply. Tariq stating clearly, I do not consent to a search. And the faint sound of a plastic bag crinkling before the officer even reached under the seat. Raven exhaled. That's our proof. But it wasn't that simple. The footage alone wasn't enough. Not in a system where officers are believed by default. Raven filed a motion to suppress the evidence on the grounds of illegal search and possible tampering. The prosecution pushed back hard. They wanted a plea deal. 6 months probation. No jail time. Just take the deal. Tariq said no. And now it was headed to trial. Because he wasn't about to plead guilty to something he didn't do. Not for anyone. Not ever. The courtroom smelled like old paper and sweat. Tariq sat beside Raven Calloway, stiff in his cheap suit. His mother was behind him, silent, clutching a tissue like it was the only thing tethering her to the earth. The bailiff called out the case number. The judge, gray-bearded and expressionless, adjusted his glasses. Across the room, the prosecutor leaned back in his chair, smirking. The trial had begun. The opening shot. The prosecution wasted no time. They painted Tariq as uncooperative, nervous, and unsteady. They emphasized lane violations, suspicious behavior, and a white substance found beneath the driver's seat. They called the arresting officer Skeet William Keener to the stand. Keener told the court he had reasonable suspicion and performed a standard protective sweep. When asked if the defendant objected, he replied, he didn't say much, just looked nervous. Raven stood. Did Mr. Hall clearly state he did not consent to a search? I don't recall. Would you be surprised to learn it was recorded? The room stilled. Keener didn't blink. That's impossible. There was no recording device present. Raven's mouth twitched at the corner. The key reveal. When it was her turn, Raven played a portion of the recovered dashcam audio. Clear, crisp, undeniable. Tariq, I haven't done anything. I do not consent to a search. Sound of door opening, plastic bag rustles. She paused the playback. Your Honor, the defense submits this recording into evidence. This segment directly contradicts the officer's testimony and suggests planted evidence. The judge raised an eyebrow. The prosecutor objected. This audio may have been edited. Objection overruled, the judge said. It's admissible. For the first time, Tariq felt the room shift in his direction. Just slightly. The pushback. But the system doesn't bend easily. The prosecutor pivoted. Whether or not the search was consensual, the drugs were found in the defendant's vehicle. That is still a crime. Raven countered. If the search was unconstitutional, the evidence is tainted and inadmissible, especially if planted. Whispers in the gallery. The judge ordered a recess to review all digital materials. Outside, Raven leaned on the hallway wall, exhaling. You did everything right, she said. They still tried to bury you. Tariq nodded. I know. She looked at him. You still want to go public with this? He hesitated. What's the risk? She didn't sugarcoat it. They'll come after your credibility. Dig up your past. Frame this as a misunderstanding. Make you the problem. He thought for a moment, jaw tight. Let them. I'm not the one hiding anything. Meanwhile, online, back at her office that night, Raven posted a short, anonymized summary of the case on social media. Black driver stopped for lane violation. Illegal search. Missing dashcam. Cloud backup recovered. You won't believe what it caught. Within 48 hours, the post went viral. Local outlets reached out. One journalist, Cam Archer, showed up in court. He requested permission to cover the case. The judge allowed it quietly. The courtroom filled a little more each day. By day 3 of the trial, Tariq's face was trending on regional TikTok and Twitter under the hashtag planted proof. The prosecution fumbles. Under pressure, the prosecutor made a fatal error. They brought in an evidence technician who admitted, under oath, that the bag of drugs had not been photographed inside the car only after being brought into the station. Raven pounced. No time-stamped photo from the scene? No video of collection? Correct. And you want this jury to believe the evidence was untouched, unaltered, and reliable? He faltered. I can't speak to what happened before it reached my hands. The jury murmured. The cop's second cross. When Keener was recalled, Raven leaned in. You stated there was no dashcam in the vehicle, is that correct? Yes. And yet, it was forcibly removed after the arrest. I didn't remove it. Then who did? I don't know. Your partner? I can't speak for him. And yet the footage recovered contradicts your report. It records the moment you open the door before you ever touch the area beneath the seat. Silence. Did you place that bag there, Officer Keener? Objection. Sustained. But the question had already landed, and the jury had heard it. The verdict waits. After 4 days, both sides rested. The jury was sent out. Tariq sat with his head down, fingers interlaced, eyes closed. He didn't pray, not in words, but he remembered his mom's voice. When the world won't see you, speak louder. He had, and now the world was watching. The jury took 2 hours. When they returned, the foreman stood. On the charge of possession with intent to distribute, we find the defendant not guilty. No cheers. There were no cheers. No clapping, just a low exhale from the gallery. Tariq looked at Raven, then at his mother, whose tears ran silently. It was over, at least on paper. But justice? Justice wasn't over. Because someone had stolen the dashcam, someone had lied under oath, and someone, maybe more than one, had tried to end his life with a plastic bag and a lie. Вот финальная часть истории «The Driver with No Chance» объемом около 5000 символов. Это заключение истории об истине, последствиях и выборе между забвением и борьбой. Tariq stood in the hallway outside the courtroom, free but not okay. He had his freedom, yes, but it felt borrowed, fragile, like glass in a crowded room. Raven stood beside him, arms folded. You did it, she said. No, Tariq replied. We just survived it. The day after, the headlines were polite. Drug charges dropped after evidence question. Discrepancy in search procedure raises concerns. No mention of planting, no mention of lies, just procedural concerns and uncertainty. But on social media, it was different. He was framed. Planted proof is the new bodycam justice. No dashcam, no case. That should scare you. Tariq's face was everywhere, not because he wanted it to be, because it needed to be. The media request. Cam Archer, the local reporter who'd followed the case, called Raven the next day. We want to do a feature, he said, not just on the trial, on what happens after. Raven asked Tariq if he'd consider it. He hesitated. I didn't ask for attention. I just wanted to get home. I know, she said, but people listen to stories. You survived one. You can tell it. He thought of the dashcam, the wires torn from his dashboard, the fear in his mother's eyes. He nodded. Okay. The interview. Cam set up 2 chairs in a bare room, no lights, no makeup, just Tariq and his voice. He told the whole story. How the stop happened, what the officer said, what he felt when the bag was found, how the dashcam was gone the next day. He didn't cry, didn't raise his voice. He just spoke. And that was enough. The interview hit YouTube. It hit TikTok. It hit people hard. Reactions. Calls came in. Other drivers, other stops. Similar stories. Similar bags. Missing footage. Vanishing cameras. Dropped charges if they were lucky. Tariq realized something chilling. His story wasn't unique. It was just caught. That scared him more than anything. The department response. The sheriff's office issued a one-paragraph statement. We respect the jury's decision. The department remains committed to ethical enforcement. CT Keener remained on duty. The dashcam lost in impound. No investigation was opened. But then something shifted. A whistleblower, anonymous, sent Raven an email. Check the warehouse, Officer Keener's locker, dashcams, more than one. The footage was grainy, a hidden phone recording, but in it, two officers joked as they opened a drawer filled with electronics. One of them said, "Keep 'em quiet, just trash. You know how it is." It wasn't evidence, not legally, but it was fuel. Raven sent it to journalists. They sent it everywhere. Public outrage. This time, the headlines were louder. Stolen dashcams. Internal review underway. South Carolina officers accused of suppressing evidence. Just trash video raises questions about police locker room practices. The department scrambled. Keener was placed on administrative leave. The city council scheduled an emergency hearing. Tariq was invited to speak. He didn't want to, but he went. The hearing. Tariq stood before a semicircle of tired politicians and stern-faced officials. He wore the same suit he wore to trial. He didn't speak with anger. He spoke with truth. I didn't do anything wrong, but I was treated like I had. And if that dashcam hadn't uploaded, I would have been just another case closed. He paused. I know not every cop is crooked, but the ones who are they count on silence. They count on fear. I'm not afraid anymore. Aftermath. An internal task force was formed. Evidence procedures were reviewed. Dozens of old cases were re-examined. 2 officers resigned. 1 was indicted for evidence tampering. Tariq declined interviews after that. He didn't want to be a celebrity. But he agreed to work with Raven and others to launch Drive Safe, a non-profit that provided dashcams and legal support to black drivers in the South. He never sought justice for revenge. He sought it for survival. Last seen. Months later, Tariq was driving again. Same car. New dashcam. Same road. A police cruiser pulled in behind him. He felt the fear, old and familiar. But this time, he looked up into his rearview mirror, saw the blinking blue light of his camera, and he smiled. He didn't have to prove anything anymore. The world was finally watching.